Welcome everyone. A new episode of the Talking with series. There is also a new interface just in your honor, George. So I wanted to look cool today. So I tried really my best. And yes, so I met George, I think some years ago on Twitter, but like we follow each other, but probably because we have different interests, we didn't interact so much. So we are here to fix this bug. We already made a coffee chat, and now we are here to talk about UI, UX, and so thank you so much for coming, me, George. You are from Uruguay, right? And please introduce yourself, and then we can finally start. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you for having me. So I'm George. I'm from Uruguay. I'm a front-end engineer, and I've been working as a front-end engineer for quite some time. Along that way, I've developed like some interest in user experience and UI design. I think I'm here to talk a little bit about that. I think you're muted, Francisco.
Sorry. Okay. So
Yeah.
yes, sorry. Yes, thank you. So, but before we start diving into deep into UI, UX, what they are, the differences, how you can learn them, I'd like to know a bit more about you. So the classic questions here is, how did you step into tech? So a little
Into
bit
tech?
of background of yourself.
Yeah.
You can start from wherever you want. You can also
Yeah,
talk
no.
for hours. You decide. You decide. Okay.
Okay, I don't think it's going to take us half an hour, but yeah, no, I think it all started in high school. When I was a teenager, I kind of developed that interest in computers, technology in general. I was always a big fan of video games and just spending some time around computers, like most of us, I think. For me, it was kind of natural to pursue a career in computer science. I remember I took a couple of courses in high school and I got hooked with programming. It had nothing to do with what I do right now, but yeah, it was like I will start. So I went and pursue the computer science degree. I did that, and after that, I just started working in the IT industry, different companies. I started as a backend engineer, actually, working with C# and the MVC framework at the time. I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but yeah. And then I remember one time I had to build a widget in JavaScript, like a booking or something like that, booking widget, and I had a really nice time working with that. So I decided to kind of slowly transition to JavaScript, jQuery at the moment. I feel a little bit old now, but yeah, React was in early stages, so it wasn't a thing. And I've been working with front-end technologies since then.
Nice. And what I like the most about this series is that every time I learn something new about my guests, and I find also some analogies, something that we have in common. For example, I started coding for real with C# too. But
really?
we had use it, but it was not hired. I was just coding games in the Unity 3D. So this is how I learned programming. So I don't know. It's a kind of strange way to start. But I think, I don't know, once you start JavaScript, there is no way back. I'm joking, of course.
Not turning back.
Not turning back. Joking, of course. But yes, and probably I had a different story. So it started more as a front end, and then I turned to DevOps. So I don't know. It's I see some analogies and some differences in our story. I've been in tech for 7-8 years, so not much. But I still know what jQuery is. So if you know what jQuery is, you are old. We can use this as a signal. New generation says, "What is jQuery?" I saw some memes, but I didn't get them. So in that case, you are young. Okay. Nice. Thank you so much, George. So, I'd like to know something. So about the technologies that you liked, like you already mentioned, React. So can I ask you why front end? What did you want? What you decided to specialize into front end? Which, for example, for me, it's still like understand something, but like specialization in front end for me it sounds hard decision. So I'd like to know your point of view, of course. So why front
Yeah,
end?
no,
The question.
no, sure, that makes sense. So for me, I think it is because I'm more of a visual person, I guess. Like I like to see what I'm building or what I'm working on. Like I really like programming, but I kind of like to see that tangible result in the screen. So building UIs specifically is something that I really really enjoy doing. So I think, yeah, that's the main reason why I kind of transitioned to the front end side, mainly because I just like to see what I'm building.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, I understand. I understand this, but like this takes like a lot of time, a lot of energies. So it's more like you can visualize things, but like there is basically no end like in front end, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
don't work.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that though. Like I started as a backend engineer for like 1 or 2 years. I did a little bit of also like support, kind of support engineering. So I had to try like a different sides of of uh, of programming in general until I discovered, yeah, the front end.
Nice, thank you. So before we step into the real and more in-depth questions, I always like to make some basic questions so everybody we are on the same level. So the title is how to learn UI UX, but what are UI UX and
Mhm.
what makes them different between each other? So let's start with like something basic. Let's pretend that people almost
Yeah,
don't know the difference.
yeah, it's a tricky one. Like simply put, I like to think of like UI as just basically what you see on the screen, like visually what you see on a user interface, buttons, inputs, texts, how these elements kind of interact with each other and relate with each other as well. So that's UI, which is a part of the user experience. And user experience is much a more broader concept, I think. You have user research, user uh, tests, you have personas or avatars. I think there is much more research involved because you are kind of first thinking of the user and the problem that you're trying to solve for the user. And after conducting like a bunch of research and tests, only then you start kind of, okay, building the UI. So yeah, so UI is basically a part of user experience in general.
Nice. Thank you, George. We see also Udai is also a UI UX
Yeah,
developer. I don't know if you know each other, but
yeah, I know him. He's
if
been
not,
doing like an awesome work lately. I remember
yes,
like when he first started and where he's right now in terms of like designs in like the visuals in Twitter. Yeah, he's come a long way. Like I really like what he's doing.
yes, yes, I totally agree 100%. I really love this topic. Yes, yes, absolutely. UI, Udai. So, okay, so thank you, George. By the way, if you don't be shy, we are doing this live, so you can drop your questions whenever you want, and also because I
Mhm.
don't want to edit, but that's another story. And so let's dive deep into the main topic. So the main topic is how to learn UI, and but let's start maybe from the why, like why people should get
Should
interested in
learn,
this,
yeah.
should be interested, and then we can go with the how. So let's start with the reason first, maybe, and
Yeah.
then we dive deep into the how.
So if you let me, maybe I can share how I got kind of that interest in UI and UX, and then yeah, we can talk a little bit about how to learn that. But I
Yes.
remember that there was like 2 years in my career that I was working as a freelancer, and yeah, I had some personal clients that they were happy and everything, and I had the skills to build like a full stack application. but there was something that like the end result for me wasn't good. Like the UI and the user experience wasn't there, and I didn't know why. That was like uh, what bothered me the most at the time. I didn't know why. I didn't like what I was building. So yeah, I decided to start learning more about UI design first, and then user experience as a whole. Because yeah, at the time I needed to kind of build UIs, so I needed to learn design principles, visual hierarchy, color theory, all of that nice stuff. So yeah, that's how I kind of developed that interest in UI and UX. And then what I did to kind of start learning that was I remember I started to consume a lot of content related to um, web design in general, like following really good designers. I spent a bunch of time on Dribble, like just seeing mockups, and then trying to learn the tools of the trade, like Figma, Sketch. At the time, Figma wasn't that popular. So yeah, I just at first just trying to replicate what other designers did. So just copy and paste basically on Figma just to develop the skills, the tools, just to learn the tools, you know. And once I felt comfortable with that, I started to create my own designs. Uh, I think it also helps to kind of, whenever you're building something, like analyze and dissect the UI and think like, okay, why this button is here right next to this text and not like on the other way of the UI. Just think why. Because believe me, like each element has its place. There's a reason behind that. So yeah, that implicitly, I guess, taught me a lot of best practices and design principles. uh, and yeah, after that it was just more of a self-taught journey, and just reading a lot of papers and just websites. There's a really nice website that I can share on the on the chat later about the UX. It's super nice. It helped me a lot, so yeah, probably going to help others as well.
Yes, absolutely. You can share the link in the private
Yeah.
chat, and then I'll do the rest.
Okay.
Nice, thank you. And just yeah, so let's start, and maybe if this does make sense for you, I don't know if we can make like two different things, like how, because I saw also people, recruiters, they tend to just use UI, UX, basically whatever, and that's it. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, I would like to do the opposite here. I'd like to break in pieces to try to really show the difference. So let's start with the UI if you want, or
Mm-hmm.
you can start with whatever we want. But let's start with the UI. So what is in your opinion a good way to learn how
To
to make
learn.
up how to learn UI, how to learn how to create UI? Okay,
Yeah.
that was has been too long.
Yeah.
So how to learn how to make a good UI?
Yeah. So what worked for me was mainly following the right people, the right designers, because they share a lot of great content around web design and UI design. And if you only want to focus on UI design, you can, for example, go through websites like Dribble or Behance and just consume a bunch of those mockups that designers do for free, basically, and then you can start slowly trying to replicate those, for example, in Figma or in Sketch. So you're going to start learning how to use the tools, and also implicitly you're going to learn best practices, because you are copying a design that has been carefully thought. So that's a really nice way to learn as well. There are like resources in terms of color theory, typography, or visual hierarchy that are crucial, and that after after that you feel like comfortable with building these UIs, you can start learning on your own and like applying. But yeah, there are a lot of concepts that I cannot really like get into right now because they're too much, but you can definitely start there. Like, it's a great start point to just replicate some designs, build that confidence, and then move on to more advanced topics, or yeah, just the theory behind
Yeah.
web design.
Yes, I just want to say that like we tend when we are expert in a on a topic, we tend to say, okay, so what I'm saying is useless. It's not, for example, for me, because for example, I'm very focused on something else. So let's say from a very
Mhm.
personal opinion, it's like I'm more focused on like the content creation, the rel, other many things.
Yeah,
But for example, I know Figma because we use them at daily dev, but I don't, for example, know how to sketch something in Figma. I use other tools, for example. So this makes sense to me, like what you are saying. So I just want to tell
yeah,
that this could make sense to someone really to get started, which is probably the hardest part. Like if you ask me like how to get started in DevOps, I can guide you in the right way, and then of course you have to
yeah,
put some effort. But this is just a reminder that what you are saying it's useful, especially also for me because this
yeah,
is not what I'm focused on. So this is why we are here. We are here today. Nice. Thank you, George. And now I don't know. I think this is harder because okay, UI. I think that everyone can understand. Like okay, this is a page. Even if someone is not a developer, they say okay, they understand. Okay, so what you see on a page is UI. UX is the behavior, but and okay, but how can you
how do you learn?
actually
Yeah,
learn it? This is a question which is I'm generally interested into, like what could be the process of understanding the UX, which stands for user experience. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah. So I think UX is more processes than UI. Like, I like to think of UX as how a user basically perceives your product. Uh, every user that is going to use your application or whatever it is, they are probably going. They want to go from point A to point B, right? So, user experience should be how easy it is for them to go from A to B. Uh, but yeah, in that process, like there are a lot of things involved, like user research. For example, you need to understand what is the end user of your product or your application. You need to kind of build a persona or avatar around that, because you need to kind of understand deeply what are their pain points, and you need to try to solve those. So you perform usability tests, or you conduct user interviews, user screening. There are a lot of tools that you can use, for example, to record a user session and see maybe where a user, you see that he's kind of rage clicking or getting stuck in a screen. So uh, it's more, I think, of a process in general, user experience, than UI. That's why I like to put UI as a important part, but just a part of the whole user experience. I don't know if I
yes,
was
yes,
clear, but
yes, yes, yes. It was very clear, and for example, like I see many things that like you are explaining now on what the lead for example, is doing. I don't know. For example, we have, of course, by the way, it's not me designing things at the lead so I not get any credit for those amazing design. Because sometimes some people say, "Hey, Francesco compliments these assets are amazing." No, it's not me, and that's not never get credit for something that is not yours. But for example, I think on UI and UX, they are super good. But for example, I have following up questions like UX is something that can evolve in a strange way. Let's make an example. You have an application, you have some cards, and then you have three buttons that do something. At some point, maybe you want to add some functionality. So
Mhm.
changing the functionality, changing the user experience can be tricky. For example, we decided to
Yeah,
move, not going to details, but like we decided to move a button that does something into another place. And of course, some people didn't like, some people say this is not good, because changing the user experience is usually, people always just want to improve the user experience, but like just improving the user experience is the user experience itself, because if you just switch two buttons, you can change totally the user experience of maybe, I don't know, use a sub menu because now you have
Yeah,
too many
exactly. Yeah.
functionalities. So from your point of view, what is a good process for improving this? Maybe, I don't know, as a single developer, because let's say that you have like 3 functionalities and now you have 5. So you are
Mhm.
changing basically your experience. You have to choose if you want to put them at the same level or on sub
Yeah.
levels. So I don't know,
Yeah.
enlighten
Well,
me.
for this, no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. I think you explained yourself. So first, it will be like making sure that you are kind of building the right features, like, because sometimes when we want to add something as developers or as product owners or whatever, uh, we we don't like do like the proper research if that's something that the user is going to use or it's going to harness, we just want to develop more features and that's it. So I would first focus on building the right features, and uh, once you have that, it will be conducting, for example, user interviews. You can interview a bunch of your users and see how they interact with these new functionalities that you're adding to the app. The thing is, most of them, like, it's the idea is to get a consensus, like, uh, what most of the people are going to like. Yeah, it's really difficult to please everyone, and that's not the point of user experience. The point is to create like an overall great experience, and I think you can achieve that by, for example, setting aside some time to conducting interviews with the users. That would be like a, a really nice idea, for example.
Nice. Thank you so much. And yes, so as we say, that this is. I don't know if there is like a perfect science of this, because it's very. I think at UX it's tied to the applications. It's very hard to define. I don't know, like maybe for UI it's easier because you can have an example, so I don't know, like dribble, or you can have like, okay, so the site will look like this, and maybe of course the UI has some maybe basics of UX. I don't know, like where positioning the button. So that's
Yeah.
already something. But like UX, of course, it goes deeper. Like when you start, I don't know, creating, I don't know, a model or a model of model or something like
Hmm.
that. This is usually specific to the application. So I like what you said, like having feedback. And I also have something to ask, which maybe I would like to have your point of view on this. Like usually when we change the UX, as I said, some people complains, but this is because maybe they don't understand or they don't got it right. They say what's going on here. But usually people tend to give feedback when they don't like something. Let's say that, for example, I don't know,
Yeah, of course.
let's say you add a great functionality, a great menu. You are more likely to receive as feedback of people taking time to say, I love the new bar. I don't know. For
Yeah.
example, in daily dev, we have people usually who says like, I don't like this, or this new UX is not good. But maybe we are not getting people maybe who are just liking, which probably are the most, because we are like almost 200,000 of users. So how can we understand, like, if those few people, or those people who like they raise a bad point, they are correct, or maybe they are the small minority
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
like
know.
the 95% of people are happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, people, when they're going to give you like an opinion of something that is new, it's like, if they like it, they're probably not going to leave a positive review. But if they don't like it, they are more likely to kind of tell you that, right? So there are a lot of tools right now that you can use within your app or product to kind of get feedback from your users, because I understand that, like, for example, it's not always possible to conduct like user interviews. It takes time, and you can do like, I don't know, 30, 50. It's quite difficult to do, and luckily there's a lot of tools out there right now that you can add to your application and get like feedback from your users without having to do much. Like, without having to put much of your time. Is what I mean. You get like feedback on new features. What we do currently is that basically whenever we push a new feature, we try to also like push the feature. Try to explain how to use it by doing tours, for example, product tours, and after that we try to collect feedback from them with a widget within the application, just to see like how happy people are or not with that feature. Yeah, but again, like
Yeah.
I think first it's really important to build that feature, because you know that there's demand behind that, and there's a problem that you're trying to solve.
Yes, absolutely. And I also think that sometimes people who are the users of your app, they don't have the same vision as, I don't know, a CEO, a CTO can have.
Exactly.
So maybe say, okay, why did you add this menu if it just has one feature? Maybe you are about
Yeah.
to add 3 more features
Yeah.
here, but we
Exactly.
don't know. But then we want to. So
Yeah.
sometimes,
And
yeah.
yeah, and as developers, we love to build features, right? Like if it was up to us, we would still building features like all day. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that sometimes it's funny because since at Daily Dev have a tool for developers, sometimes we get a feedback like, okay, so maybe the margin here could be done here,
Yeah.
the drop down here, the CSS is not. So
More
we have like
technical advice.
we get a technical feedback,
Yeah.
which is always warms my heart.
Yeah.
So it's amazing because the users are also developers, so we get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always smile because we get some very like
Technical.
try this as CSS style, or maybe I don't know. I tried to debug your website. You can try
Yeah.
this style instead. So it's amazing.
Yeah. No.
Nice. Okay. Amazing. Nice. So now let's start with the questions from the audience. So we have one from Udai, and Udai is asking, what are your thoughts on how a UI UX designer can improve his or her skills and how to avoid getting stuck?
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell him that whatever he's doing, keep doing, because he's doing great. Really, like I've seen like a lot of progress on what he's doing. Um, but I would say like what worked for me the most was just, and I know people always say this, but it's just build stuff, like build a lot of UIs. If you like UI design, just build a bunch of UI designs on Figma. Again, try to like not build it and that's it. Try to like dissect the UI and analyze why the designer wanted this button here and not like on the other way of the application. There's always a lot of reasoning behind that. And you can't get stuck, in my opinion, if you continue to read and learn from resources. There's always new that you can learn. So yeah, that's what I would do. Just keep reading about UX, UI, keep building stuff.
Yes, absolutely. We really don't have an idea if you're not into this job, how much time does it take?
Yeah.
So yes, let's go with the next questions because we see people now are starting to make the questions. So thank you, Yudai, for breaking the ice here. Hi, I always had an eye for user-friendly UI and UX. However, I'm neither a developer nor a graphic designer. Where should I start to turn this into a career? And I think this is one of the most important parts to get
Okay,
how
so
to start.
I'm neither. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a UX person. I just self-taught develop. I'm a self-taught kind of UX or UI designer. So there's no problem with that. Where should I start to turn this into a career? Like where in what sense? I don't like kind of understood like where or when you want to start to turning this into a career.
I think that ZK Turing is asking like from where to start. I don't know, maybe a course or maybe so the
Oh
where
yeah.
like
Okay. Where should I start?
resources in
Okay.
terms of
Yeah.
resources. Yes.
Yeah. So there's one certificate by Google on user experience, which I think it's free also. And I think I didn't take it myself, but I have heard really nice reviews on that. I can also share the link if you want. It's a 6 months course, so
Cool.
it's quite intensive, and you also get a certificate. So I think it's a good place to start.
Nice. I think that I like this. I like also this, for example. So I don't know if at some point I
Yeah,
want to get. I don't have like front end certificates, and yes, and of course it depends on your skills. But like I think that having, this is my very personal opinion. I think that having a certificate, at least a certificate, gives you more confidence
confidence.
to
Yeah, for
reach out to
sure.
people. It's more in your mind than other one. So I say, okay, so I don't start from zero. I have done this
Yeah. You
because
have something to show. Like, okay, yeah,
it's just basically to pass. I think I don't know the first filtering, like on an interview. I say,
yeah,
okay, so let's give this person a try, and that can really help. Like on the because of course, if a company gets I don't know 1 million requests, they are gonna about to they can turn this into a full time activity for the company. So
yeah,
maybe I think that a certificate doesn't hurt. It can be of any type. So
yeah. And
yes,
especially from
great.
Google, right?
Yeah, and also Google is always good. I mean, they are gonna not do something at least usually like their goal is not free. Maybe I don't know if this is a free. Is this a free
Yeah, yeah,
certification?
yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's a
probably
free
the
certificate.
goal of Google is not to get rich with
Yeah,
certificates. At least
exactly.
in this, at least at this point. So they care more about maybe their reputation. So this might be for sure. It's a valid alternative. Hi, Franz. I think Franz, it's me. I'd like to ask Georgia how he manages or struggles between UI, UX, and front end engineering, since they are different disciplines. Also, his brief design process. So
Yeah.
something. So
Hmm.
managing all this stuff, which is basically like
Yeah,
whole spheres, and then also if you can do I don't know a brief design
yeah,
process before building, which I think is might be very interesting.
yeah. Good question. So yeah, on my day-to-day job, like I mostly work as a front-end engineer. Not so much like I don't do any design or UX work in there, but I do like give my opinion on certain things. Uh, so that's always valuable, like if you have that skill set, and you can share your opinion in terms of the product itself with your teammates, that's always welcome, I think. So yeah, I use more of that skill set in my maybe day-to-day life, like when if I want to work on a side project, for example. I know I'm able to build first maybe some mockups, some low fidelity mockups, then high fidelity mockups, and then we can move to like like the kind of end mockup that you're going to create, and from there just you can start implementing the solution. Given that I'm just one person, you can be like more flexible, I guess, with the process, because uh, I don't have yeah, that much time also to conduct user interviews. I don't have any of that those resources, so I just try to keep it simple, like build a couple of mockups with just low fidelity, then higher fidelity, and then just once I'm happy with the end result, I I implement the solution.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Georgia. Yes. So can we summarize that like having the practice, I think here is at the first place from what you are saying, like you are fun, let's say, of making like because I think like I don't know, it's similar like to drawing, we can say. It's like I don't know, the
Yeah,
drawers of the
exactly.
third millennium. So you need practice. You can't there are some other disciplines maybe I don't know you have to elaborate like math or something, some theories, but like this is a very practical skill. So it's
Yeah,
like if you don't get your hands dirty, it's very hard
yeah.
to improve, very hard to
Be-
improve.
because you not only have to kind of develop the skills of how to use a tool, for example Figma, you know, you have to also like develop your creative aspect, the creative part of your brain, which in my case was completely like turned off at the time, and I was slowly kind of waking that part app. Uh, so yeah, it's a process, like everything.
Nice. Nice. Thank you so much. Okay, so I don't know if I'm missing any question. I don't know if Amy you went the question, but you removed it. No, here. I think I found it. Is this one? Let's go with this one. So, how to make interfaces appealing even though you are not very good at UI UX? So this is basically a
Yeah,
question from this could
yeah,
could
no,
be
that's
by me. So let's say I don't know the
that's a
bare
really good one.
minimum.
Mhm.
It's like saying I don't know I'm not a singer. How can I at least
Yeah,
don't make my audience run away or throwing rotten tomatoes to me? So
yeah,
I just want to have a decent reputation.
yeah. No, that's a great question. Like, if you don't have like time to maybe learn this from scratch, or you simply don't want to, I would say like you can focus on three aspects, which is like color theory, typography, and visual hierarchy. If you can learn those, I think you can like create pretty UIs, and also learn maybe design principles, some design principles, because the good thing about those is that you can also apply them in pretty much anything, not only in UIs. For example, in my visuals, I apply those design principles: hierarchy, color theory, and typography, just to try to convey the ideas better. So yeah, I would start with those three pillars.
This answer is amazing. It's mind blowing, George. So I don't know. I hope that you made some content out of this. I also would like to spend some minutes, if you want, to talk about the social media aspect. This is how we got in touch. But like,
Yeah,
what are you
sure.
saying? For example, for me, it's super valuable because,
Mhm.
like, for example, now I don't know. I see like a structure how maybe I don't know when I have I don't know free weekend a day. Maybe you can at least where to start. And
Yeah,
yes, so thank you
yeah,
so much.
exactly. You don't have to be like an expert. You just knowing the basics go a long way. So yeah.
Yeah, basically, this is mind blowing. I mean, we are mind blown, the both of us. Yes, yes, yes. Nice, nice, nice. Design principle about building blocks, learning and understanding those is a game changer. We are design principles. Interesting, interesting. New world are opening now. So, George, I would like to use maybe 5, 10 minutes. We're already 40 minutes past. I don't know how is this possible.
Yeah,
I'm talking about your social media experience. So how this, I don't
yeah.
know if this changed something. I don't know if you are active on Twitter or some other places. You follow him on Twitter, of course. And so just tell me something about your social media experience.
Yeah, so I picked up Twitter 2 years ago, I think. Just wanted to kind of share a little bit what I know, and also I encourage everyone to do this, because I know that no matter how much or how little you know about something, like, everyone can learn something from the other. So it doesn't matter, just share your progress and share your wins and falls. But yeah, I started sharing like content on Twitter, um, and it kind of like I resonated with people. I guess the visuals, they liked a lot, because that's another thing, going back to like UI and UX. Like, my goal is to try to explain topics that sometimes are not that simple, but as simple as possible. And again, UI, or in UI design, in that sense, helped me a lot, because it helps you put the right typography, colors, and uh, hierarchy on a visual. So people seem to really like those, and I've been sharing uh, that content ever since. Been a little bit busy lately, so couldn't. I'm not able to share as much as at the beginning, but yeah, it's always fun to also get to know people. Well, I'm pretty sure you are building a huge community around Web3, so I know you know the feeling.
Yes, and it always makes me smile, like how people who use their time on social media, they say sorry when they didn't there's something to do in real life, like I'm sorry, but that's like your life, like, so it's like, I don't know, like you know,
Yeah,
I was donating to charity every day, so sorry, but today I can't. But I mean,
yeah.
you still did something good. It's not,
No,
but
yeah, yeah, I know.
it's about the mindset. But it always makes me smile, like when people say sorry. I could not share
Yeah, because
as many free things, because
yeah,
maybe in our mind we would love to, but yeah,
exactly. And I was kind of used to sharing something new every day. And that uh, takes a lot of work because putting those infographics, it takes at least 1 hour, believe me. Uh, so yeah, it's just something
yeah.
that right now
I
it's a
Yeah, I
bit
don't
hard
know.
probably.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, sometimes it's weird. Like when I create threads, even with a very simple, minimalistic
Mhm.
UI, it took me like usually more time, for example, for the cover rather than a thread of 20 things.
Yeah,
I was saying before we start that sometimes it took me more time. It took me for sure maybe more time to create this thumbnail
it's something.
than
Yeah,
than this live stream that you are watching. So you should say, Francesco, good thumbnail, not good live stream, because this took me even
yeah.
more time. But I don't know. I think that once you have find something that you like, for example, this new UI that you have,
Mhm.
but I always make some small changes. But it's very important maybe to put some effort trying to do something meaningful, as you said, like the contrast. And I try to use a template. For example, we can take we can also show the history of the evolution of the thumbnails, but you can always improve them. For example, now I've improved that I add, for example, your part here on the right, so something about that person. So I don't
Yeah,
know. There's always an evolution, and I like, but it takes really a
yeah.
lot of time.
There's always room for improvement for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time as well.
Yes, yes. So let's go with this last question, and then we start to wrap up this amazing episode. George, I'm enjoying this. To be honest, I just wanted to have a good conversation with a friend. So it
Yeah.
was more like to get something useful for someone else. But I found this very useful even for me that I'm not
Mhm.
an expert in this UI UX. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. No,
Uh,
thank you. It felt like that. It felt like a
yeah,
just a conversation.
yeah, absolutely. But no, but at least we made it public. So
Yeah.
thank you.
No, of course. That's great.
So Tharuka is asking if you have some free courses or you have some free resources to learn UI UX. If you
Yeah.
want to mention them, even yours,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
I think I shared with you like a link to like a
Yeah,
certificate from Google, which
I
I
did.
think it's quite nice and intensive. I will start like if I had to start from the ground up right now. That's the course that I take, and it's free.
Nice, nice, perfect, perfect. So it's very good to have a place to start. Thank you so much, George. Do you like to give some conclusions and some final thoughts about this discussion on or
Yeah, no,
the whole episode, and then we wrap up? Thank you.
yeah, no, no, like just encourage everyone to go and learn whatever it is that you like, but keep on learning. That's it. And thank you so much for having me. And it was a really nice talk. And yeah, time flies because 45 minutes. Yeah,
I
it
know.
didn't feel like that.
Nice, nice. They say time flies when you enjoy them or you are
Yeah,
with your
exactly.
friends. So yes, yes. So thank you so much, Georgia. To be honest, I really like your practical approach. I think it can really unblock someone for maybe they are stuck or
Mhm.
struggling because creating a good UI or creating a good UX might be very complicated, especially I don't know if you are alone or maybe if you are not very experienced. We can really, I don't know, stare at the screens for hours like it happened to me in the past because we
Mhm.
don't know even where to start. So
Yeah.
basically your approach, your message is just to get your hands a bit dirty, move things, and maybe probably also ask for feedback from if you have friends. So if, for example, if I think here
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
you can use
Yeah, yeah.
your community if you have or something. Sometimes when I don't know, for example, I ask like, for example, do you prefer this thumbnail or this one? So I think there is nothing wrong, especially if you have an
No,
audience
no, no.
asking
No, no.
like when I'm not sure. Yeah.
Not only there's nothing wrong with that, it's like it's a really nice skill to have, like asking for opinions and feedback, taking feedback well. It's I think a
Yeah.
really nice skill.
Yeah, and
So
I think
yeah,
one of the best things that when you ask for feedback, you get feedback. Maybe I don't know from different screens. Say like I'm checking this from my mobile and I can't read the text. So you get also basically like a screen resolution
yeah,
feedback like in real time. So which is basically I don't know you are coding maybe on a big screen or you have a good perception. I don't know, maybe you are vivid colors on your screen, and maybe it's a bit different on someone else. So this is
yeah.
this can also be
See,
a great one. Sometimes it happened to me that like people say like here the contrast is not optimal or here it can be improved. So I always try to listen to this. So thank you so much, Georgia. I hope this will not be our last collaboration for 2023. We are cooking something, but we're still not sure. But maybe we will make another collaboration soon.
yeah,
I can't promise anything, but we are working on this for real. This is not a hook or clickbait. We are trying, and yes. So thank you so much, Georgia.
no.
Please remember to follow him. I think you also. I like that in your bio on Twitter you have something like a link, like free stuff with a link, which
Oh yeah,
sounds
I have
it
like
sounds super
yeah.
cool.
I completely forgot about that, but yeah, it's if you go to my profile, you should see like a bunch
Nice,
of
nice.
infographics
Let me
on
let
UI
me
and
let me
UX for free.
let
Yeah,
me let me share this one, of course,
yeah.
and
I'm sure
so
you
this
also
so yeah, I think it's
that's
this
a book
one.
that we are
I've been
working.
faster. I've been faster than you. Is this one or
No,
something
no, yeah,
else?
that's another thing. Like
Ah,
that's
this is an
a book that
UI. Ah, okay,
yeah, that's a book that we're working with Adrian, which
okay,
also like compacts basically everything that I just
okay.
mentioned
Ah,
and
okay,
more.
okay, okay. Nice. We have also this one. Perfect, perfect. Of course, if you get something on Gumroad, remember to leave a good review because you are getting this for free. That doesn't mean that it's not available. Sometimes it's the opposite. Like when you give something for free, it means that you really want to help someone, you really want to make something good. So you're more focused on the reputation and what you're gaining. So thank you so much. Thank you, Yudai, for staying here with our sessions. Next time, I don't know, probably we can make something with more guests. And yes, we're done, George. Thank you so much. And yeah,
No,
see
thank
you next
you.
time. See you next time. Just a small shout out to me before we close. I've already organized the next episode of this Talking with Serious. It will be about DevRel. It will be the next Wednesday. So just check this on the channel. I want to keep going with this series. I think we are close to 200 episodes. So a good series when I interview. And I think there is a lot of knowledge shared from many people. And yes, so George in real time for my first time. Yes, nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much also for confusing me because she's changing her profile picture, but here is not. So now I'm totally confused. Amy, thank you. Nice. Thank you, George. Thank you so much. And yes, see you around.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Best of luck. Bye bye. Bye
Best.
bye.